How should we deal with the powerful emotions that can come up during meditation?
So this is the meditation. If you're doing it on a spiritual level and a guru level, it's like taking a bath. So you have to take off one piece of clothing before you're naked and can get into the bath or get into the shower. So before you get there, you have these emotions. This is a process. This is a stage that you will be thinking about bills, kids, wives, husbands, mums and dads, and so on, work, whatever it is. So the worldly things, in effect, will come into your mind. And as I say, this is the process, but you have to overcome that. And the way you overcome that is, and this is the spiritual consciousness that this is what's going on and this is the process, and I've got to get through this little bit. So I've got to take off my shirt, got to take off my vest, got to take off my trousers, got to take off my Y-fronts or whatever it is, and then I can get in the bath or the shower. Yeah. Or another analogy is, if I've got to go to work and you're driving, I've got to go through. If from, say, Hayes to Heathrow, you're working in Heathrow, I've got to go through Southall, I've got to go through Hounslow before I get to my destination. So you have to go through these emotions in order to get to your destination. And this is why spiritual people, they let go of society. And this is why here initially you're told that you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because then half the job is already done. If you're only half in society, then it's easier to, when you're meditating, to get to your destination without too much baggage coming with you, let's say, right? Without too much of a journey. So as I just said, if you're going to get in the bath and you've got 20 pieces of clothing on, it's going to take you longer. The water's going to get colder. But if you've got 10 pieces of clothing on, it's easier to, or 5 pieces of clothing, it's easier to take off and get in the bath while it's warm. If you're living in Hayes and you've got to get to Hounslow, you're living in Hayes, got to get to Heathrow, very easy. But if you're living in Bedford and you've got to get to Heathrow, more of a journey, right? So less the better on a spiritual level. So meaning less society, less influence, less you are in society, the easier it is to move on spiritually in meditation. And the reason you meditate is one, well, there are many reasons, but the main reasons are one, that you obtain let's say you're doing a particular mantra, you do that mantra in order to gain those powers, in order to heal, that will allow you to heal, right? So if you do the Gayatri mantra, this is the most powerful mantra, second to the Mahagayatri, and this will allow you those powers, awaken those powers, so that you can heal people, right? And the healing doesn't have to be anything spectacular on a human level. All it is maybe just listening to somebody's problem. And the saying, I know you've heard of it, a problem shared is a problem halved. So just listening to somebody's problem, and if you can give them some positive input and some positive practical advice, then that's even better. But you can only give that positive advice if you have the power to do so, if you have the foresight to do so, if you have the clarity to do so. And that clarity comes through your meditation. And your meditation should be focused on Guruji, and that's why you come to see Guruji. So this all links, you see? So this is why I say, when I joke with you guys that I haven't seen so-and-so for so long, I'm actually not saying it because I want to see the person. It's because you've got to have that connection, right? The floodlights at the football stadiums, why are they more powerful than the bulb in their bulbs, and you've got a bulb in your front room or your bedroom? Why are they more powerful? Because they're connected in such a way to give them that power. So you need to be connected in such a way to give you that power more than the average human being, in order to heal people. Make sense?
Perfectly.
Right. So this is quite simple actually, but obviously you've got to get someone to tell you that before you can sort of understand it. But yeah, I mean, it's that simple. So, and the more prayers or mantras you are given from a guru, the more power you have to heal. Right? Whether that's listening, as I said, listening to somebody who's got a marriage problem or a health problem or whatever it is, your powers will grow the more you into spirituality, the more you meditate, the more you focus on Guruji, that these things will grow, and you will grow spiritually, and you will grow as a powerful healer.
Point where meditation should be stopped for a period for the sake of grounding, or can you ever do too much, basically?
Yeah, if it affects your family. So, again, this is what you'll learn when you, Guruji will tell you that both Bombay Wala Guruji and Big Guruji in Delhi, they had families, they had kids, they had brothers and sisters and so on. Now, it's a balancing act, and I will always talk to you about balancing. There's no point in you being a spiritual person if your wife is upset that you're not taking her out for a birthday, or your son or daughter is upset because you've not bought them a birthday present, or you've not gone to the football game, or you've not gone to the cricket game, or whatever it is that they want you to do with them. So do that first. Make sure your wife is happy, make sure your husband is happy, make sure your children are happy, make sure your parents are happy, that sort of thing. Yeah, but that's a balancing thing. If your wife or husband expects too much, then that's again a balancing thing. You got to work it out. Every situation is different, so there's not one size that fits all. You have to work it out. And if your focus is on Guruji, you'll get the answer that, look, my my husband is demanding too much from me, and I'm not going to do that. And then you have to explain yourself and in such a way they understand. So you have to work that bit out. There's a story Guruji once told me, and it's of a young boy, and he grew up in quite an affluent family. He was the only child, and he was brought up by maids, was brought up by servants, and to some degree by his mother. And his father was a big, powerful industrialist. And he, when he got to the age of like 6 or 7, and cricket games, football games, so on and so on, he'd see other kids' fathers and mothers there, but he would only see his mum there. And it got to the point where it became a bit playing on his mind. At 6 and 7, you work this out, 6, 7 years old, playing on his mind. Where is my dad? In the evenings when he'd come home, him and his mother would have dinner. His dad wouldn't be there. His dad would come home at 9, 10 o'clock when he's going to bed, come in, see him, kiss him on the forehead, how are you, son, and go. Pocket money. And what this kid used to do is the same we all used to do, go and buy a small toy car or whatever, a comic or whatever. Anyway, so he doesn't buy anything for weeks and months. And one evening his father walks in as usual to say goodnight to him. And he said to his father, he said, Dad, where are you all these days? You work 6, 7 days a week. On the day you do have off, you want to rest, or you're going to play golf, or you watch the TV, and me and Mum don't see you that much. He said, son, I'm at work. I have to work. We live in a big house. We drive a nice car. We have servants. It's got to be paid for. So anyway, the kid says, okay, Dad, I understand. And this goes on for a few more weeks. And after a couple of months of this conversation that's just taken place, he asks his dad, he said, Dad, how much do you earn? And his father says, well, son, it all depends on how the business is doing. But it can be a couple of £1 million a year. And in a good year, in a bad year, £1 million. The kid says, oh, okay, a lot of money in his little head. And a couple of weeks later, again, same thing, father comes in. And he said to his dad, before his dad kissed him on the forehead to say goodnight, he said, Dad, I've worked out that you earn roughly about £200 every half an hour. And he put his hand under the pillow and he took out £200. He said, Dad, I've saved this money. Can I just have half an hour of your time tomorrow? Here's $200. Here's £200. And then it clicked to the father that I'm not spending enough time with my child. He's offered to buy my time. Yeah, he worked out that my balance isn't correct. And then the father changed his attitude towards his kid and his wife. So sometimes we miss this because we're in a flow, we're on a trajectory that we don't look back and we don't look around us. And this is where Guru comes in, that you look around, you look after your family, then go on your spiritual journey. There's no point in being on a spiritual journey if your wife and kids are upset. So balance, very important. We do not throw away the family unit. We do not, charity begins at home, don't forget.